All right, this is the Flood and Erosion Control Board meeting of Tuesday, December 15th. We have a quorum, and on the phone we have the following. We have Becky Bunnell, Chair. Please, everyone else go around and say who you are.
And Don Lamberti.
Husky, Secretary.
Don Lamberti, Vice Chairman.
And Prue O'Brien, Recording Secretary.
So we have a quorum. We are missing 2 members, but we will go ahead and start the meeting, and hopefully they will join in. An email has been sent just checking to see if they're coming. So let us move forward to item 1 on call, which is approval of the November 17th draft minutes. I have seen them. Dick has them. Don, I don't know if you got a chance to.
I was thinking it was tomorrow. I mean, unfortunately, I haven't looked at it.
All right, now after saying how this phone system works, I'm hearing Becky breaking up. Is anybody else hearing her breaking up, or is it?
No, it's fine with me.
Yeah, no, I hear
Here,
it also.
I just took myself off speaker, so maybe that would make it easier. Is it better now?
Yes, that sounds much better.
Okay.
Thank you.
So does anyone have any
minutes.
comments on the minutes?
Yes, I do.
Yay, Dick.
Well, no. So on, what prints out is page 2 for me, and it starts with update on the Pine Creek dredging project.
Oh yeah,
Okay, so it reads update on the Pine Creek dredging project, : In 2013, the dredging was roughly $500K. FEMA paid the bulk of it through Superstorm Sandy funds. The town doesn't support paying for the Pine Creek dredging because it isn't part of a navigable waterway. I would like to soften that a little bit, because it's not really a project yet. It's kind of like a conversation.
Okay.
And the town, and saying the town doesn't support paying for it, I don't want to be in a position to put words in the town's mouth, so to speak. Mm-hmm. So I would suggest that we change the word project so that it reads update on the Pine Creek dredging initiative by certain FBR residents. Because that's what it is. It's like
exactly what it is. That's good.
Antonio and stuff. Okay, so I would like to make that change. Change the word project to initiative by certain FBR residents.
Residents. Okay.
Okay, and then the third sentence. The town doesn't support paying for Pine Creek dredging because it isn't part. I would suggest we say, the town would probably not contribute much, open parentheses, if any, close parentheses, money to this future project because it isn't part of a navigable waterway.
Okay, so the town.
So I would strike the words doesn't support paying for the Pine Creek dredging. I would strike those words.
Okay.
And I would insert would probably not contribute much, if any, money to this future project.
Would probably not contribute much, and then in parentheses, if any,
money
to this project?
To this future project. And then just continue with because it isn't part of a navigable waterway.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
That way we're
else?
not speaking for the town. Yes. Item 4.
Okay.
So with the election of officers, you need to list the individual officers. You only show that we elected Becky. So I would suggest we say something like, with appropriate nominations and seconds, Becky Bunnell was elected chair, Don Lamberti elected vice chair, and Dick Mahusky elected secretary.
Okay.
So you need to list all the all the officers, and I think it suffices to say with appropriate nominations and seconds rather than list out, I nominated Becky and Don seconded it, or whoever did what.
Now, do I list you as Richard or Dick? Richard, right?
You should do it as Richard.
Okay.
But then you better do Rebecca as Rebecca, and Donald as Donald.
So formal.
Yeah, but see, on the things, she lists herself as Becky. So I guess, I don't know. I mean, it's really whatever you guys want.
The choice of the person with the pencil. I don't care one way or the other.
I'm happy to have it be Becky. I've had I sign all my checks with Rebecca, and I always know when someone doesn't know who I am because they call me Rebecca. So I think if I am listed as Becky, more people know me as Becky.
Okay.
Becky?
That's good.
Yes.
This is Peter. I apologize for joining late.
Oh, Peter, welcome. Peter Wiswell has now joined the meeting. This is for the recording. Thank you for joining.
Peter, we're just giving comments on the draft minutes from our November 17th meeting.
Okay. I've looked at it and look forward to comments.
All right, so Prue, you all set with item 4?
I am all set with item 4. Is there anything else?
Yes. Item 5.
Okay.
On the meeting dates, I would strike the word recommended because they are now the final meeting dates.
Okay.
So it's simply the 2021 FECB meeting dates.
Okay.
And that's all the comments I have.
Peter, did you get a chance to review any minutes? And if not, do you want to before we vote on it?
I reviewed them. Not as extensively as I should have, but I have reviewed them, and I do not have any comments.
Okay, then I would like to see if anyone has a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
All right, let me just for or Prue, you can do it for Peter's sake. If you could just read the revised sentence that begins update on the Pine Creek dredging.
Okay. Update on the Pine Creek dredging initiative by certain FBR residents. And then the colon. In 2013, the dredging was roughly $500,000. FEMA paid the bulk of it through Superstorm Sandy funds. The town would probably not contribute too much. The town would probably not contribute much, in parentheses, if any, to this future project.
Money.
Because
if
it
any
isn't
money.
Because it isn't part of a navigable waterway.
But Prue, as you were reading that after the closing parentheses, after if any, the word money is there. Not contribute much, if any, money to this future
money,
project.
Sorry. Okay.
And Peter, I suggested that change because I don't want to put words in the official town mouth, if you will, and I want to soften it because it's not really a project. I think it's more an initiative that's underway.
Dick, the takeaway that I have is that it's unlikely that the town would contribute to any cost, and that comes as no surprise.
But we are meeting with Brenda, and so who knows if maybe – I know Brian Carey was fairly, I believe, positive that he did not believe the town would contribute anything, but you never know.
Right.
Brenda may have a different point of view. So I think I'm certainly open to the idea of leaving it a little more ambiguous in these minutes because they are trying to get a meeting with Brenda, and let's see where she comes out on this.
Agreed.
Becky, are you saying you want to leave it more ambiguous than having the word
No.
probably not in there?
I think that's fine. I think what you're saying is it has enough ambiguity to it. I also happen to agree with you and with Peter that the likelihood of the town contributing dollars is low. However, I do hope that the town will contribute their resources to help us apply for grants and their resources
in kind.
to help us apply for bonding if we assume we are going to end up doing some sort of bonding to pay for the eventual project. So I'm very hopeful that there will be contributions by the town, just not in dollars. So I think, Prue, just to make sure that we do get the word that town will probably not contribute money is important to put into these minutes.
Okay. I can't believe I didn't put that in there.
Because we are hoping to get contributions, just a different kind of contribution.
Right. So the town would probably not contribute much, parentheses, if any, end of parentheses, money to this future project.
Yeah. All right. So based upon those amended minutes, would anyone like to propose a motion to approve them?
Okay. Motion to approve.
Becky, just one further comment. I think it's worth bearing in mind that I'm trying to phrase my comment. The peninsula, Pine Creek, and other beach areas contribute a very substantial percentage to the town's overall property tax revenue. With that in mind, it's always possible that the town will contribute something, and they probably should, because the beach is a big percentage of their tax base. Do we think anything will actually be contributed? Well, maybe not, but the fact that so much revenue comes from the beach area always gives us reason for optimism.
Peter, I actually agree with you in principle that the town should contribute to some beach area, peninsula area, Pine Creek area projects, but I feel that they should be contributions in the area of protecting our residences from flooding and things like that. I think the contribution of a waterway that is still actively supporting our marshes and doing everything that it needs to keep our healthy marshland, which is very important to the town because it acts as a first defense against coastal storms. Right now, that's not at risk. What's at risk is pleasure boating, in that some of the bigger boats aren't going to be able to get out as easily if the creek is not dredged. That, to me, is not something I'm going to fall on my sword to ask the town to contribute to, but I will ask the town to contribute to things like sunny day flooding and things that could impair the safety and security of our residents in a situation where emergency vehicles can't get down to someone, for example, or so things that would I do want the town to contribute to various beach area projects. I'm just not sure I'm going to fall on my sword to ask them to contribute to this one. I won't tell them not to. I just feel like I'd rather save our ammunition for more important projects that I feel are more important to the beach area.
Yeah, it's well stated. Well
Becky,
stated.
Excellent points.
So let's hope they want to contribute, but I'm not going to push it. That's all I'm saying. So with that conversation, and again going back to the amended minutes as read, do we have a motion to approve these amended minutes?
Okay, a motion to approve.
A second?
I will second, Dick.
Okay, all in favor? Say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, the minutes are approved as amended. Thank you, Prue, for making those amendments. Thank you, Dick, for your comments, and everyone else for your comments.
Yes, thank you.
Item 2 on call is a review of the Flood and Erosion Control Board Master Plan. Any update on any of the projects? I actually do not have any updates. I know it looks like wastewater treatment has been proceeding. I know the Rooster River meetings were held. I don't think there were any actions coming out of that I was aware of. So I don't really have much to update.
The Rooster River meeting that was held. The meeting was held virtually. There were no comments during the meeting. They had the list of questions there, trying to elicit comments from the residents. And after the meeting, there was a follow-up email, I think, or maybe it was in Brenda's weekly address that reiterated, please send your comments within the next 10 days or something like that. I have not had any conversation with Bill Hurley to see if he's gotten any meaningful comments.
Okay, so why don't we plan on we'll reach out to them in the new year and see what comments, if any, he's gotten.
Who is he? I'm sorry.
Bill Hurley.
Bill Hurley,
Bill
engineering
Hurley.
manager.
Okay, I didn't hear that. Okay, thank you.
Because he's running this project for the town.
Right. Okay.
The Rooster River's his project. What was the wastewater treatment plant? Was that?
Yeah, I've seen some activity over there, so I think they're still working.
It's going along. They're moving. They're putting the pilings in, or the sheet pile in, behind the fire training center now. So they're going around and they're getting ready to turn that corner. The big thing that's coming down the pike is they're finally emptying out the hole in the ground where the pump station number 1 is going to go. So they've been digging that out. That's where the dewatering system is installed for, and the cast concrete segments to establish the pump station, those are scheduled to come and be delivered this Friday. With the snow, who knows what's going to happen.
Okay.
So that's going along. The other thing, it's not really part of wastewater treatment plant protection, but it's basically a part of that microgrid that will power the wastewater treatment plant in the case of a loss of UI power. And that is the new big generator that's coming. So they've got the pad pretty much done for the generator. So that will be done over the next couple of months. So that's a big milestone for the overall plant dependability. But it's going along. The environmental things are resolving themselves. UI finally moved their lines on the poles so they can fix up the other half of the roadway where the big hump is going. What they're doing is they're drilling holes down, and they're filling the holes with a combination of big stone, gravel, and cement to make piers or piles, if you will. And that's necessary to hold up the added weight of the dirt that they're making the humps out of to go over the wall height. So they've got half of that roadway done, and this is over at the entrance to the wastewater treatment, or on Richard White Way, between the fire training center and the wastewater treatment plant. And then the other hump that's going to need to be built between the whatever it is, the Evergreen mulch place, and the other entrance to the wastewater treatment plant. I think that soil is sufficient where it doesn't have to have these pilings or these piles put in, so that can hold the weight there.
Well,
can I ask a
that's
question?
been another delay.
And
Prue, you don't need to put all that stuff in the minutes.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay.
Yeah. The sheep.
Just say it's proceeding.
For the minutes, the sheep piles continue to go in. They're making good progress on that, and pump station number 1 is going to be started in earnest, scheduled for this Friday.
Okay.
Tell me, is the loss of Brian Carey going to have any effect on this stuff, or is everything going along smooth?
Well, there's a new acting DPW, John Marsilio, or Marcillo. I might be pronouncing it correctly.
I'm not exactly sure.
Marsilio.
Say again, Prue?
Marsilio.
It is Marsilio.
Marsilio.
And
okay.
So
he was DPW in Trumbull for a while. I know that. And my understanding is he's just acting at this point.
That's correct.
Gotcha.
And actually that brings up another point, which is that I was going to try to, once he's gotten himself kind of sufficiently onboarded, try to set up some time to review Flood and Erosion Control Board issues with him. Probably in January. I'll offer him a couple times and see when he is able to meet. Would anyone like to join me? We could probably have 2 people. That way it's not a formal meeting of Flood and Erosion Control Board. So I'd certainly welcome.
Yeah, I would be happy to participate in that.
Okay, so I will give him a little bit of time to get up to speed on everything. I'm sure he's overwhelmed right now, but
you think?
I will reach out. And try to set up some time in January where we can take him through hopefully what will become a new revised plan, which is another topic that we need to discuss. And I'd actually like to ask if someone on the board would like to work with me to update the 2015 plan so that we have a more formal 2020, probably 21 at this point, plan that better reflects what we're actually proposing now.
That's on my personal still to be done agenda. So yeah, I would like to work with you on that.
Okay, good. So Dick and I will work on updating the 2015 plan to be a 2021 update to the plan, and we will set up some time in 2021 to meet with John, presumably with Laura and or Bill in attendance as well.
Sounds good.
Okay, item.
If Laura's still an employee.
I don't think she's taking. I think she's waiting to see if they have the early retirement package approved by the RTM to see if she gets.
Oh, it is. It was. I'm sorry. It was approved last night.
Oh, I didn't.
Really?
I didn't
they
hear
approved.
that.
Yeah, they approved it. They approved it last night. 21-19 was the vote.
Wow.
Oh, I thought
when did it go into effect?
I don't know that. Prue, do you know when it really is effective? Is it like a January 1st kind of thing, maybe?
I heard January 1, but that was when they were thinking about it in November. So I'm not sure.
Okay, that brings up another point then. I think we need to try to get time on Laura's calendar in December to get a debrief of everything so that we don't lose
Is she seriously thinking about retiring?
Oh yeah.
Oh really?
Well,
I thought she didn't she have somebody in college still, a son or daughter? I think both her girls have, at least one has graduated. I don't know. Maybe one is still in. I thought they were. Okay.
Well,
no, but the hopeful thing is that she'll retire, but she will be hired back on a part-time basis, like maybe working 3-4 days a week until Bill Hurley's able to get his bench strength up and replace that position or something. I don't.
Okay, that would make sense.
Was that allowed in the retirement package plan?
I believe so. Yeah, because who's it? Linda Gardner, I think, is in finance, and she did that. She retired just regular. I mean, she had enough, however that formula works. So she retired in the regular way, and they now have her back as a part-time employee.
They do?
Because she knows all the systems and everything. And I also found out, not because I saw it in any announcement, but we do have a new chief financial officer, Jared. Jared, what? Help me out here, Prue.
Schmidt. It's
Schmidt.
Schmitt.
Right, Schmidt with T's. So Jared Schmidt is the new chief financial officer, and we also have a new human resource director, and that is, help me, Prue,
Hazelcamp, I think.
Hazelcamp, yes, that's right, Hazelcamp. And during the conversation last night about the early retirement plan, there was some comment made, and I think it was attributed to him, but don't quote me on that. There was a comment made that the records and the procedures and so forth for the human resources department, he said the person said something like, "This is the biggest mess I've ever seen," or something like that.
Oh dear.
So he's got a lot of work to do, I guess.
Well, think about who his predecessor was.
All right, I'm going to move us back onto the agenda, guys. I'm going to move us onto the agenda.
I'm sorry.
Item 3 on call is update on the discussion of the Town Resiliency Fund, and I had hoped I would have something more to share with you today, but I don't really have anything of substance in terms of how the town is going to react to it. I did read the final report of the GC3, which is the Governor's Council on Climate Change, their funding and finance for resiliency, their final report, which is posted on the website, the DEEP website, which is very enlightening and helpful. They are definitely supporting these kinds of funds. They are exploring the idea of having the state treasurer administer the town funds, which is very helpful because the towns wouldn't have to administer the funds themselves. And they are also proposing to make it easier for various municipalities to have ways to fund resilience projects and or funds like this in terms of things like stormwater utilities and various taxing districts and things like that. So there's some very interesting information in that report, in that final report. So I'm going to update the Resiliency Fund document that we had put together to include a couple of those things, and then get
Becky,
ready to resend it out.
Becky, you have not sent that to.
I actually did not. I did not send it to the Board of Selectmen because I was hoping to hear from Tom Bremer. Yeah.
You've been talking with Tom Flynn about it, and you have a request out to Tom Bremer, right?
He wanted me to do a 20-year table, which I did, and to circle back with Tom Bremer, who still has not returned my calls yet. But I figured that he probably was very caught up in the capital appropriations meetings, and therefore now that is over, I am going to try again to set up some time. But the good news is now I can update that document and make it even more current. So that's the good news. We now have a stronger document. So here's a question for the board. Would you, based upon what I've said that I'm going to do those small updates to the document, would you like to see it one last time before it goes back out again, or are you comfortable with the updating it and then sending it?
I'd like to see it again just for the sake of having a more current copy in my file.
Okay, let me resend out the updated document then. I'll try to do that over the next several days. I'd still like to meet with Tom first because if he's comfortable with the 20-year chart that I did do, which I worked actually with the finance. I think I mentioned I worked on that chart with the head of finance from the town of Brantford, who's been Jim Finch, who's been very helpful, and they've already obviously got their resilience fund. And the town of Stonington is now looking to do a resilience fund. So it's actually taking off in terms of lots of towns looking into this way of funding future resilience projects.
Sounds good.
Okay. Item 4 on call is a review of in the last meeting we had talked about doing a note to Emmeline regarding making sure that flood and erosion control issues got put into the POCD and also into the strat plan. I sent out prior to this call, I think I sent it out midday today, a draft letter of what we might want to say to Emmeline from a POCD standpoint. I still need to work on that a little bit, so it's very much of a draft. I'm happy to take comments in today's call, or if you want to just review it and get me back comments in email, that is fine as well. The strat plan letter will be very similar to the POCD letter, except that it'll just have a slightly longer term view towards it, but it'll have most of the same content.
With respect to the strategic plan, somewhere, and I didn't look back to prime myself for a coherent conversation on this, but somewhere I saw an updated, pretty current version of the strategic plan, and I'm reading the thing about flooding and so forth, and I'm reading this and I'm saying, wow, Becky did a good job of writing this thing up, because it was,
you know what that was?
Complete.
That was the Sustainable Fairfield Task Force strategic plan.
Sustainable. That's okay. Thank you. That's
yes,
right. That's
and
what
yes,
it was.
I wrote that section.
Okay. No, but I thought it was really good.
Thank you. I also sit on the Sustainable Fairfield Task Force, and so I wrote that section.
Yeah, that was very good, and that statement in the Sustainable Task Force and the strategic plan statement and the POCD statement, they basically the same. They should be the same thing. One perhaps longer than another, but all of those topics are interrelated for our long-term resiliency.
Absolutely, and I think the only difference is that the POCD is a 10-year time horizon, whereas the strategic plan is a longer-term horizon. So there's the ability, I believe, to flesh out more things in the strategic plan. But the important thing, as I understand it, about the POCD is that it's important that it lists all of the projects that we might want to undertake, because it is much easier to apply for a grant if you can say that it was an area that was called out in the town's approved plan of conservation and development.
Mm-hmm. And it's also easier to get approvals by the town body if you can similarly point to that. Hey, you guys adopted this plan. Here it is. We're trying to execute.
Yeah. So I think those are reasons to make sure that we again reach out to our counterparts who are doing these various plans and make sure that a complete listing gets done. So that's the one area that I didn't get to. I have the listing as to come, but it's basically going to list all of the things that are in our revised plan that Dick and I are going to pull together over the next several weeks.
It's all interrelated. I do have a couple little small comments on it, on the letter to Emmeline.
Yep.
Second page, the paragraph starts with the 1938, 54, and 95 storm events, and down at the end, it says, based upon a preliminary review by the Board of Selectmen, the cost was considered too high for the town to proceed, even with potential federal funding. I just thought that after BOS, I would put in September of 2019, just to put it on a timeline, that this ACOE plan was out there. It was presented to the Board of Selectmen a year and three months ago now. So I would just insert that, and I think it was September, but that needs to be checked.
All right, I'll check that.
I'll look back at the BOS meetings and check that whether it was September 2019. And then the next paragraph down, item 1, item 2, item 3. On item 2, ways to get the water out more quickly. In the parentheses, I'm reading on it, pump stations and high-capacity drainage and retention basins. And I wanted to link pump stations and high-capacity drainage together, and I thought the word with instead of the word and might do that. So it reads pump stations with high-capacity drainage and retention basins.
Well, the only I will put that in, but then I was also hoping to capture the retention basins of the Rooster River, which don't have a pump station, I believe, attached to them.
Well, okay, as I'm reading that, I'm reading it as 2 items: pump stations with high-capacity drainage and retention basins along the river courses. If you want to put retention basins for riverine situations.
Yes, good idea. For riverine and other flooding, maybe.
Yeah.
Because we also are using a retention basin system in the town green area.
Right.
Yep.
It's underground, but it's a retention. Yeah.
Yeah. Good build.
All right. And then my only other last comment at the end. So the last paragraph says, we welcome any individual questions you have. At this point, the full list of our proposals is listed in Appendix 2. And then I look at Appendix 1, potential impacts of sea level rise. And I don't see Appendix 1 referred to in the body of the letter. And I'm thinking that the body of the letter should somehow reference Appendix 1.
Ah, good point. So let's put that somewhere in, maybe in the first paragraph.
Yeah. But I mean, I didn't. Again, I ran out of time and I didn't look at where to salt it in. But Appendix 1 needs to be referenced in the letter, in the appropriate spot.
All right. Actually, you know what? I'll let me think about where to put that. But good point.
And then Appendix 2 will be what you and I will be working on, Becky, right?
Yeah, in essence, yes.
Okay. Yeah, just a thumbnail version of the updated master plan.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right, good builds. Thank you for those. Did anyone else get a chance to look at it? I know I only sent it out earlier today, so I understand. If you didn't, then please send me any comments by email if you...
No comments, but it does look very good.
Thank you. All right, so the action on item 4, just to reiterate, is that Dick and I will work on the 2021 update to the Flood Erosion Control Board plan, which will then feed into the letter for the POCD, and we will do a comparable letter for the STRAP plan committee that is a little bit longer term, but will have essentially most of the same content and recommendations. And all 3 of those will be, Dick, do you think we can have all 3 of those ready for our January meeting?
Yeah, we need to shoot for that. We need to. I need to get off a dead center on this.
Okay, so all 3 of those will be available and ready to review for our January meeting for hopefully final approval.
Sounds good.
All right.
Becky, I'm sorry. What is the third? What's the third one?
Oh, the third one is actually the 2021 updated Flood and Erosion Control Board Master Plan.
Okay, thank you.
So item 5 on call is any old or new business that may come before the board.
Yeah, don't have any.
I just have some comments on stuff.
Okay.
The Turney Creek tide gate reconstruction with the bridge over there on Turney Creek, that bid has not gone out yet. I'm going to follow up on that and see what's going on, because it's all written. The plans and specs are all written. Brian Carey, just before he went out the door, told me it was close to being issued to the street. So I'm going to follow up on that and understand why. And then that Rooster River project meeting for the residents, we talked about that a little bit. Did you all get a chance to see that? Because it is available somewhere for rebroadcast, I think.
Was it on
but I watched
TV?
Yeah, right. That's right. It'll be on Fair TV.
I read
it's
the
worth watching
presentation,
again.
so I didn't go back and look at Fair TV, but I read the presentation.
Well, Fair TV. One of the things that caught my eye, they had a little flyover where they take Google Earth and they actually flew up the course of the Rooster River, and I thought,
really?
And I forget now whether they photoshopped in where the retention basins would be or not. I forget, but that. It wasn't very long, but it caught my eye, and it's a very neat thing. So it's worth watching if it's on.
Oh, I'll go back and look for that then. Thank you. That's good.
Pine Creek Dredging Initiative. Rick Grauer actually requested a meeting with the first select woman on that to get an idea of what support the ad hoc group might get from the town. So that request is in. It's been in for maybe 10 days. He hasn't heard back. As of a couple of days ago, he told me he hasn't heard back from her. Last Thursday, I guess, and I had forgotten about it, Bill Hurley had a public presentation on the new bridge that's going to be constructed to replace the existing one on Commerce Drive / State Street over near the Jaguar dealership there. And that it was some engineering firm from New Britain or somewhere upstate is doing it. The engineer guy who's going to be the project engineer for it gave most of the presentation. There are some drawings that are in the PowerPoint or in the PDF document that was with the announcement. They're like presentation drawings, not construction drawings. But one of the things that caught my eye is that this bridge will not have any angled wing walls. You know how bridges have these angled wing walls where the river's coming down and the river hits the angled wing walls and they kind of funnel the water so it goes under the bridge? This does not have any of those. And I thought that was rather strange because I think there would be more erosion at the butt faces of those concrete walls if they're not canted outward like a funnel. And so I'm still going to discuss that with Bill. It's not a big deal. It's a bridge replacement rather than a flood and erosion mitigator, but I think the erosion part needs to be reconsidered. So I'm going to try and get him to do that, and I will copy you on any substantive stuff I send to him.
Sounds interesting. Okay.
Talking about the way to fund projects and the fact about having residents kick in some money for something during the capital project, the Board of Finance Capital Planning Workshop. During that, there's an item on there to put new lights on one of the ball fields down, I think, on Old Dam Road, and it's like $200,000. And the comments were made.
I believe it's in the Dugiello softball park.
Okay, wherever that is.
That's on Old Dam Road, isn't it?
Driving range.
Say again, Prue?
I believe it is up near Smith Richardson where they have a new park over there.
Oh, okay.
It's not new anymore, but.
All right, so they're going to put lights on it. 260 now that I'm thinking of it. That sounds more like the correct number. So it's on the town capital project, but when he was talking about that, Anthony said, "Yeah, well, this will be like a town project, but this softball or baseball or little league association will reimburse the town for all of the money." So this is a case where the town is the sponsoring entity for it, for a group. So this is similar to what maybe the Pine Creek dredging will wind up being. So
okay.
Interesting model.
It's a precedent. It's a precedent for that. My final thing, and this is a question to Becky, I guess, and I think I had sent you an email on this. Do you want me to communicate our new officers and meeting dates to the town so they can publish it?
I did it. Someone had sent me a note asking for it all, and I did that once it got approved.
Okay, that's fine. That's all I have.
Okay, I did have one other thing as well. I got an email today from Jen Carpenter saying that First Selectman Kupchak asked me to ask you if you or a member of Flood and Erosion Control Board would like to be on a newly formed Resilient Connecticut Collaborative Community of Practice task force, which would meet about 4 times in 2021. 4 to 6 times between January and December of 2021. And each session is designed to share climate-related efforts of group members and to solicit feedback and comments on Resilient Connecticut products. So this is part of the Resilient Connecticut project funded by the Federal Department of Housing and Urban Development and administered by the State of Connecticut Department of Housing. So I'm happy to sit on that. I think it'd be very interesting, unless anyone feels very strongly that they really want to do it. But I'm very happy to do it unless someone is dying to do it.
No, I think I would agree with that. I think you are our chairwoman person.
And you do a good job. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I still don't know how to do this.
I'm just saying chair.
I think that's fine. No, because obviously you will bring back whatever comes there to the group, so we won't be missing anything.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Another reason to have our revised master plan in hand.
Yeah. Although I suspect that if it's Resilient Connecticut, they're really talking more about resilient corridors and things that are not necessarily things that are on our plan, but it'd be interesting to see what they, where they are going with it.
No, there's a lot of meat in there. No, I think that's excellent, and we should. My belief is we should participate in any and all of these things that we are able to.
I think so too, and I actually think we should.
We'll learn something. I always learn something at any of these seminars and things. And we keep our face out there in front of deep.
Exactly. Now, I have one other thing under new business, and it's a question to the group. The study that we had proposed that was going to see if we could put together an engineering firm to help us do modeling and wave action studies on the options that we wanted to look at to mitigate high-intensity wave action, so adding T's to groins, building out Sunken Island Reef, building out Penfield Reef, that whole sort of modeling those various scenarios was not put into the capital plan by Brian. He just didn't feel it was appropriate in this budget environment, so there is no current plan to do that study. And I was thinking that maybe we could reach out to Jim McDonald at Circa and the University of Connecticut to see if we could interest any graduate students to do this study, if we could come up with some small amount of funding to do any computer modeling if they needed any kind of funding. So I wanted to kind of see if anyone is interested in exploring that with me, but that's kind of another project I'd like us to think about.
That's an interesting idea. That's very creative. I like that.
I think Don should reach out with you to Jim O'Donnell, because he and Jim O'Donnell are really the best of buddies, and they see eye to eye on everything related to climate change.
Actually,
I wrote him a letter once. He wrote me right back. He was very, very polite, very nice.
He did. No, I mean, he's a good. I think he's a good guy. I like him. And the other thing is that Mr. Lamberti was the mover and the shaker to involve our high school in a computer graphic representation of what people between Penfield Beach and the sewer plant outfall, what those people would see if there were a dune constructed between their second floor and the water.
Ah.
That's
well,
true.
Don, if you're up for it, why don't we try to set up some time in January to see if we can get some time for a call and just explore the conceptual idea with him to see if he thinks.
Yeah, I don't know who the guy
is,
but
or who. Well, I mean, we've kind of met him on some webinars.
Jim O'Donnell.
He's the guy who is doing
Jim O'Donnell, the guy that proposes
20 inches sea level rise.
20 inches.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Sure. Okay. I didn't hear I heard a different name. I didn't hear Jim O'Donnell. Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
No, Becky had said McDonald or something.
I think I said McDonald instead of O'Donnell. It's O'Donnell.
Yeah, McDonald. Yes. Okay. Yeah, sure. I'd be glad to do that.
All right. So I'll try to
Becky?
set up some time in the new year. Yeah, Peter. Yes.
Yeah. Relative to bringing in the students, I think that's a great idea, with the caveat that I'm a little bit concerned that we need some real creative thought to come up with something that will get by deep. And though I think that utilizing students is a great first step, let's not lose sight of the fact that we need the battle-hardened veterans to come up with something that'll get us by deep.
Yeah, I've actually been attending a lot of the University of Maryland wetlands and resilience webinars recently. I don't know if any of you guys have been listening to those, but there's several different ones on living shorelines. And these are kind of, oyster, and there was actually one from Staten Island, too, that was as part of that webinar series, where they were looking to do breakwaters that are living shoreline oyster and fisheries, and they have a whole series of structures that both mitigate the wave action but also allow sort of mini young fisheries to flourish and oysters to flourish. So it becomes kind of a nature-based, what I'd call hybrid nature-based solution, because it's not just a hard structure, but it's actually a nature-based hybrid structure. And I would only want to propose that the students work on something like that, because I think, Peter, to your point, a straight hard structure will never get past deep. Our only hope is to have some sort of nature-based hybrid approach.
As wrong as that is, you're right.
Yeah. Becky, I agree with both you and Dick, but once again, rational thought is not something that deep is known for. And
I love
with that said, the input of those students is obviously very valuable, but we also need, once again, the battle-hardened professionals who can take that input and turn it into something that will produce the results we're looking for. So I entirely
would Jim
agree.
O'Donnell be creative? Could Jim O'Donnell be creative and get him involved early on?
Well, but that's what the conversation is about. I mean, we had if you get some, you get some graduate student or graduate student teacher, some guy working on his PhD in oceanography. I mean, they're not slouches. They've
and maybe
spent
we
years
also
studying this stuff.
Maybe we work with Jim to get an advisory panel for this group of students that would be more of the battle-hardened professionals that Peter's talking about to be advisors on the project too, which would reinforce the professionalism but also be cheaper than than paying a firm to do it. I mean, but at the end of the day, we can't afford to pay a firm to do it right now. So I'm looking for cost-effective ways to get hopefully some high-quality work done.
Becky, absolutely.
University setting.
There's a lot of, simply put, grunt work that these young professionals are eminently capable of taking on. And then once that data is all in place at minimal cost, we can then talk about bringing in the gunslingers who can sell it. But let's save the money up front and get the data.
I think this is phase one of a long-term project, because at the end of the day, we don't even know how we're going to pay for the implementation part of it. So there are many stages to this. So this is just sort of starting the ball rolling in my mind.
Yeah. I think that's called reality.
Excellent. Yeah, excellent. Yes.
Oh, that's all I have. Anyone else have anything else?
I have one last thing that I thought of. Last week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I guess, there was the annual Connecticut Association of Flood Managers annual meeting, and there were a bunch of presentations. Some of them were good, some of them were not so good. Dave Murphy from Malone and McBroom, he did a presentation on Milford's efforts at resiliency, and for that one I was doing something else that I had to be doing, so I was kind of listening out of the corner of my eye. That's available for rebroadcast. I'm going to go back and see that, and I will send you the pertinent links and things to whatever I think is valuable for us to digest. You certainly can watch the whole thing. I'll send you the link for the whole thing eventually, but I will get that to us over the next few days.
Excellent. Thank you.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. I wish everyone happy holidays, and we will talk in the new year.
Okay.
And good
You'll
luck
get back to me, Becky, on the
storm tomorrow.
Yeah, get all your shovels ready.
4 or 5 inches. 4 or 5 inches. That's all.